Single woman who doesn't have a financial horror story. Not one. It might be her story or her mom's or her friends or her grandmother's, but somewhere along the line, money became a source of pain, fear, or control. I'm doing my nails at home today, not because I can't afford the salon, but because I'm reclaiming my time and my overhead. Every dollar I save and every skill I learn makes me harder to control. For me, money isn't about being rich. It's about the freedom that comes with it. It's about choice. It's about being able to walk away when something no longer serves you without survival being threatened. Because guess what? Money is power. Money is safety. Money is options. Money is freedom. And when you don't have access to it or don't understand it, someone else gets to make decisions for you. So ask yourself this: are you building the life you want because you choose to or because you have to? A lot of pivots in life don't come from ambition. They come from necessity, from realizing if I don't do this for myself, no one else will. And this realization is scary but powerful. And that's why I want to say this clearly. Never let anyone control you with money. Let me say it one more time for the girls in the back, if you didn't hear me. Never let anyone control you with money. The first time I realized money had power over my life was during my childhood. I remember going to the corner store after school with my cousin and my brother and just overly splurging with the few dollars that I had. I bought all the snacks that I wanted in this one little trip and then quickly realized I no longer had this little allowance for the rest of the week if I wanted snacks after school on Tuesday or the next day or the next day. I also learned about my spending habits at a very young age. A lot of people think money control looks dramatic, like someone taking your paycheck or refusing to let you work. Click the like button if you've been there, by the way, because I know I have. But most of the time, it's much quieter than that. It sounds like, don't worry, I've got it. You don't need to understand that. Or I'll handle the finances. Or you're bad with money anyway. And slowly you just stop asking questions. You stop checking in. And then worst, you stop learning. Then one day you wake up and realize you don't know how your own life is being funded. That's not a partnership, that's dependency. And dependency is dangerous even when it starts from love. And trust me, I know we've all been there in our own capacities, our own walks of life, but there's nothing more freeing than having your own money tucked away for different occasions, whether that's going out to eat with a friend or whether that's going on a trip or whether that's covering the date for the evening with your spouse or with your significant other. There's no shame to wanting to have your own little financial security blanket, if you will. And to the girls in the back who I know, there's going to be somebody in the comments saying, well, my husband does X, Y, and Z for me. And that is quite all right for you, sis. But for the women who are out here trying to still live a life that isn't tied to the finances of someone else, you know what I'm trying to say here. Like, it's so financially freeing when you're bringing in your own money on top of whatever else you got going on. If husband or hubby wants to take care of you and spoil you, even better. Money is not about being rich, but at the same time, money does kind of buy happiness a little bit. But I need to be clear here because I know somebody's going to think money's not about being rich. So what are we even talking about here? Hear me out. This isn't about being wealthy. This isn't about luxury. It's not about chasing some flashy lifestyle. Now, there's nothing wrong with any of those. But what I'm trying to get out is that when we have money, these things can make us feel great. But money at its core is about independence. It's about being able to make choices without fear. being able to leave situations that harm you, being able to say no and mean it. Money gives you space to breathe. And when you don't have that space, your life gets smaller. I can remember the first time I felt like money gave me a little bit more freedom. And it's going to sound like a walking contradiction, but hear me out. So the first time I felt like money gave me a little bit of freedom was when I took up a job as a full-time nanny. Now, as somebody with a background in education, specifically early childhood education, then all my teachers out there, even if you're not in early childhood education and you still work in like elementary schools and whatnot, because you don't get a decent paycheck until you're really like in high school, like teaching in high school or being college professors, and even that is still, you're still fighting tooth and nail for your worth. But as a teacher to children in those early years, you get paid squat. It is not a livable income for one person, let alone a family, a couple. It's a lot. So I felt like the first time for me personally that money gave me freedom was when I became a nanny. Now, the workload was a lot. I cannot lie to you. Like, I'm sorry, but no matter how much you love your job, you have to find a balance. And I just felt like I wasn't getting that as a nanny, but the money was so worth it at the time. The money allowed me to travel a little bit more that year than I normally would. That money allowed me to take more spa trips, like going to the spa more regularly and not having to bat an eyelash at what's in my bank account because I knew that I was getting paid. Okay, a girl was getting paid. But as I said, the workload, you have to think, is this something that is sustainable? And if so, how long can I continue to do this sort of thing? Like, my hats go off to all the caregivers that are out there because you are not alone. Okay, you love the work you do, but at the same time, it can be draining. A lot of women pivot their lives not because they're ambitious, but because they feel trapped. They don't leave jobs they hate because they can't afford to. They don't leave relationships that hurt because they're financially dependent. They don't take risks because failure would cost too much. So I want to ask you something. Are your choices driven by desire or survival? Because there's a big difference, and often financial independence is the line between the two. Most women were never truly taught how money works. Maybe you watched adults struggle without explanation, or maybe money was treated like a secret or a stress or shame. So then you become an adult and you're expected to just know, right? And that gap, it costs women so much. A lot of our money fear didn't start with us. It was inherited, but it doesn't have to end with us. So I'm going to share with you guys a family pattern around money that I'm trying to actively break now. It's been a long time coming, and you can take the time to comment down below something that you're trying to break now around that topic as well. So for me, the pattern that I am trying to actively break is immediately when it comes to the topic of money, and I'm being a little vulnerable here, is immediately going to this manic frenzy. When someone suggests doing something, I immediately panic because now I'm like, oh my God, I don't have this in the budget. What do I do in this scenario? 9 times out of 10, I'll make sure I'm an active decision maker. And by active decision maker, I mean, like, if a group of friends want to go out to eat, I'm going to make sure that I pitch the restaurant that I know, okay, I can afford this. You know what I mean? Like, I ask for as much detail as possible on situations like that. Or, wow, my brain is kind of fried right now. I'm literally trying to dig deep on another example that I can share with you guys. A family pattern around money I'm trying to break now. I guess I'm kind of stuck because I have to admit that I have grown a lot when it comes to, one family pattern around money that I have actively been taking steps to work towards. And I don't even know if it's a family pattern, because it wasn't like money wasn't a topic that was openly discussed throughout my childhood going into my young adulthood. So everything I'm learning now, I'm kind of figuring it out on my own for the first time. So with that said, the only piece of advice that I remember hearing growing up was for sure the importance of savings, which I'm sure many of you guys have heard that, especially if you're coming from an immigrant household like myself, then you have heard this beaten the drum to like beaten into you from the core is the importance of saving, right? But what no one tells you is about like paying yourself first as a form of savings. Every time you get that paycheck, make sure you're setting aside a good little portion of that each paycheck, so that monthly it starts to grow and grow and grow. Another thing is something I've never learned of until now is the difference between putting that money in a high yield savings account versus just your average, what is it, brick and mortar is the name. Again, I apologize if I lack the knowledge on some of these financial terms, because the financial literacy is getting there. I'm going to be quite honest with you guys. So yeah, I think that those are some habits that I'm trying to instill in myself. Something else that I'm trying to break is just to be a little bit more transparent about my finances and my financial journey. Now, I don't do this with everyone. I'm still actively working on this, because I'm a true believer that some things should be kept to yourself. There's a reason why they call this your personal financial journey or your personal fitness journey, because it is personal to you. I'm open to engaging in small conversations here and there, like if we're at the dinner table and we're talking about, you know, how expensive it is to do X, Y, and Z, or like what you should do towards in terms of working towards getting X, Y, and Z in your life, as it pertains to using finances to get there. Because again, money is a tool. You cannot avoid this. Like you have to build that muscle of developing a good relationship with money. So yeah, I want you to imagine your future self. Every decision you make today is either protecting her or putting her at risk. So don't let anyone control you with money.